that completes my final report until I reach touchdown. And according to Dr. Tossline's theory of time in a vehicle travelling almost the speed of light, I should be back home in time for my tea. No, I hope, Rayvers. Yeah, just heading home after nipping out for a cheeky intergalactic space flight. Now, I've had a request to look at this film because although I sort of reviewed it before, it was mainly about the franchise as a whole, and it didn't really do justice to any of the individual films. So join me as I take a trip to the planet of the Apes. Yeah, Planet of the Apes, starring Charlton Heston as Taylor, an astronaut on a space mission to explore far-flung reaches of the galaxy or some such, I don't know. Now, Charlton Heston was Mr. Depressing 1970 science fiction film. He was, wasn't he? I mean, before that, he were Mr. Biblical Epic, weren't he? Sword and Sandals, he were in loads of them. But yeah, he were in loads of depressing 1970 science fiction films. He were in The Omega Man, where he's the last lone survivor of a plague what's wiped out humanity.
There is no phone ringing, damn it!
That's pretty depressing, isn't it?
There is no phone.
He were in Silent Green, where overpopulation and global warming have led to global food shortages, which has resulted in dead folk getting ground up and processed as food.
Silent Green is people!
That's pretty bloody depressing and all, isn't it? And of course, they were in Planet of the Apes. Now, although this ain't from the 70s, this was the late 60s, I reckon this was the first of your depressing 1970 science fiction films. This set the tone for the decade, I reckon. Anyway, once we met Taylor and his crew on their space mission, we get a title sequence with some very weird, discordant music from Jerry Goldsmith. Very atmospheric. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what sort of atmosphere it sets, but it's sort of weird, isn't it? It's just weird. Makes you uneasy right from the get-go. Anyway, they crash land on this planet, and as they emerge from their hypersleep, the blokes have all got these big beards, because they've been asleep for ages, but it just feels like they've been out for a couple of minutes. And unfortunately, the lady astronaut, there were obviously some sort of malfunction with her hyperspace chamber, which ain't no wonders for her complexion. Looks like she could do with a facial, doesn't it? But Taylor notices that even though they've aged a few months in seemingly a couple of minutes, the spaceship's been going so fast that thousands of years have elapsed since they left Earth. I don't really understand the physics of it, but I just took it as read that was what happened. So, the three surviving crew members have got to make the best of a bad situation and try and find a way of surviving on this barren planet. And Taylor comes across as a bit of a dick. He always seems to be having a go at this younger bloke and taking the piss out of him.
Your loved ones are dead and forgotten for 20 centuries. 20 centuries! Even if you could get back, they'd think you were something that fell out of a tree.
So, yeah, he ain't a very likeable character. Anyway, just when hope seems to be dwindling, they find a sign of life and they're reinvigorated and stride off very purposefully in search of more shrubbery. And as they start to see a bit more greenery, they then stumble across these intimidating looking scarecrows. That surely should set some alarm bells ringing, shouldn't it? Because that means there's intelligent life on the planet. But they don't dwell on that because they hear the sound of running water and go and do a bit of skinny dipping in a nickel lagoon with a waterfall. Now this is a bit daft this, because they take all the kit off because they're so eager for a dip in the fresh water. You know, they've been gagging for a bit of water over the last few days. But not one of them says, hang on, what about them scarecrows? There's obviously folk around here. You know, maybe we shouldn't take all our clothes off and leave all our equipment lying about where any bugger could nick it. And sure enough, some humanoid type creatures in the bushes get their hands on the clobber and half inch it. And this prompts a very amusing chase scene where Taylor and his mates are running through the undergrowth, stark bollock naked, but you can't see the privates. Very clever bit of directing work there. There's always something obscuring the genitals. Very reminiscent of Inspector Clouseau at the nudist camp. Now, after Taylor and his mates have managed to retrieve some shredded items of clobber, they discover these savages, who are obviously the folk responsible. And most of the blokes look like cat weasel, but Taylor, obviously with his red-blooded male, manages to spot the attractive lady, doesn't he? Now, before they even really have time to assess the situation, some hunting horns sound. And the savages all start to panic and sprint off. And the astronauts, they have no choice but to follow them because they don't know what's going on. And this is the big twist of the film. This is a big reveal, isn't it? Because the hunters, they're apes! They're apes! It's a planet of apes. Yeah. Great reveal. Great moment in cinema, this. I remember watching this the first time. I thought it was brilliant. But Taylor and his mates, they get herded up with the rest of the savages. One of them gets shot and killed. Another one gets clobbered in the head. And Taylor gets shot in the neck. And just as he's bleeding and losing consciousness, this scene's great where he can hear the apes chatting. And he's obviously thinking, what the bloody hell is going on here?
Smile.
And much of the rest of the film is Taylor trying to prove his intelligence, hampered by the fact that he can't speak due to getting shot in the neck. And he's helped by these friendly chimps, Dr. Zira and Dr. Cornelius, played by Kim Hunter and Roddy McDowall, who are scientists and they're fascinated by this intelligent human. They ain't seen it before. But they're trying to convince Dr. Zayas, who is the bad guy in this scenario. He refuses to believe there's such a thing as an intelligent human. But he's a devious bleeder, because we do see him confronted by several pieces of evidence that Taylor is intelligent, and he chooses to destroy him instead of face up to the reality. I mean, you wouldn't get that in the real world, would you? Authority figures refusing to face up to objective reality. Hang on then again. Now, very thought-provoking piece of science fiction, I reckon, Planet of the Apes. The juxtaposition of the humans with the apes makes you consider all sorts of stuff, like racism, slavery, animal cruelty. Even the apes have their own class system, between the chimps and the gorillas and the orangutans. And you see stuff from a different perspective, because Taylor is the human who's getting dehumanised and treated like an animal and subjected to all these degrading examinations. But it's not without its excitement, no, as we see Taylor trying to escape and getting chased around the ape city before eventually getting rounded up, leading him to deliver this iconic movie line.
From my cold, dead hands.
No, that's not right. No, this one.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape.
Yeah, another great reveal. His throat's healed, he can talk. And the apes are thinking, bloody hell, they're talking human. What's going on here? They think it's nuts. On the road, Taylor gets freed by the good chimps. And they all mooch off to Cornelius's archeological dig, where they hope to find proof that humans are intelligent and capable of speech. En road, they arrive at this picturesque Ickle beach, and Taylor finds a little bit of spare time to have a shave, which the female human seems intrigued by, but I don't know why, because it's pretty obvious she's no stranger to shaving her legs, but there you go. But if they'd actually got a wriggle on and had a proper look at Cornelius's archaeological dig findings, instead of admiring Taylor's nicely clean-shaven appearance, they'd perhaps have all been done and dusted before the evil Dr. Zayas and his gorillas rocked up. But when looking at the dig findings, Taylor is able to provide irrefutable proof that humans are in fact intelligent and capable of speech.
Dr. Zayas, would an ape make a human doll that talks?
Yeah, that's sort of presented as a bit of a gotcha moment, that, isn't it? Like at the end of Columbo, where he explains how he's deduced that this week's guest star is the murderer. I'll give you a clue, it's Robert Culp. It's always blooming Robert Culp. But I don't reckon a talking doll is as big a gotcha as they think it is. It doesn't really prove anything. I mean, we're humans, we make all sorts of talking toys for kids, don't we? We got one of the grandkids to tickle me Elmo a couple of years back. Doesn't mean we were once ruled by Elmos, does it? We weren't planet of the Elmos.
You maniacs! You blew it up! Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell!
Anyway, on to Ray's ratings. Well, love a good science fiction film, me, and I were intrigued by the premise of this one. Based on a book, apparently, but I don't read many books, so stick to films. But yeah, I were hoping this would be really good. 4 stars. And it did not disappoint. Cracking film. Still holds up now. Still as relevant now, I reckon, as it were then. And it were obviously popular because it spawned loads of sequels and reboots and all sorts. So, yeah. I'm rating Planet of the Apes a 4-star film. Okeydoo, well, nearly home. So, yeah, looking forward to getting back to terra firma, getting back to Nottingham. I missed it. Looking forward to seeing Nottingham Market Square again and the Brian Clough statue. Yeah, can't wait to be back. Here we go then. Right, better get the landing gear ready. Let's park up. Oh, crikey. It's absolutely deserted. Nobody around at all. Well, let's head home. Oh, you pillocks. You bossed it up. Oh, bollocks. Bloody hell. Oof, glad to be back home. Ain't seen the family yet though, so fingers crossed they ain't all turned into chimps. But we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the trip back to the Planet of the Apes. And if you did, remember to poke the old like button, share, rate reviews with your mates, and of course subscribe to the channel if you ain't already a subscriber. Much appreciated, thanking you kindly. And I hope to be back with you again very soon. See you next time. Okeydoo.